Hi everybody, I'm Dr. John Douillard, and today I want to talk about the Ayurvedic perspective on fake news, right? It's sort of interesting. I'll give you the Western medicine perspective on it. A new study just came out kind of measuring fake news. They actually measured about 8,000 people at the University of Utah, and they had Facebook posts basically that were fake or real, and they vetted them to make sure they were real or not real. Unfortunately, there's a lot of not real stuff out there, and they determined, whether people thought they were really good at fake news. And about 90% of the folks that they interviewed, of the 8,000, it's a lot of people, they said they were really good, exceptional at determining the difference between fake news and real news. So they were looking at these Facebook posts. They all said they were really, really good at it. Well, it turned out that almost half of the group rated themselves significantly higher than they actually were at determining fake news. And some of them, a lot of them, were like 50% higher. So they rated themselves 50% higher, 50 percentage points, which is basically like flipping a coin. Half the time, 50% of the time, they actually got it right, and 50% of the time, they got it wrong. And these are the folks who said they were really good at it. So the conclusion of the study was that the folks who were more overconfident, that said that they really understood the difference between fake news and real news, they actually were the worst at determining fake news from good news, from real news, rather. So it's sort of a really interesting phenomena that we have because, and the folks that were said that they were really good at determining fake from real news were the ones who were actually were not so good at it, and they were actually sharing what they thought was real, but it was actually fake. So that's kind of how the study went down. It was studied in a very prestigious journal, the Journal of Proceedings of National Academy of Sciences. So it was like a real legit study, something that we should all really think about. Being overconfident sort of meant that we were more susceptible to fake news. And I think we all think that we're really good at determining real from fake news, right? Everybody thinks we're good at it. I think I'm good at it. But it turns out that if you think you're good at it, you're not. So that's what the study kind of showed. So it gives us pause to say, what does that mean? And I think one of the takeaways, I'm going to give you the Ayurvedic perspective here in a second. One of the takeaways is that we listen to, and nowadays we have the ability to listen to who we think is telling us the truth. So we only listen to one news channel or one news outlet. And I really think that the way to solve, hopefully move the needle a little bit in this arena, would be for us to expose ourselves to the other side and see what perspective other people are having and why they believe so strongly in one way of thinking versus another. And there's been some studies done on that too, where they found that when people actually do listen to the other side, they actually find that there's a ton of common ground. And they really begin to understand why one group might feel one way about about one thing, and others feel another way. And they actually begin to really understand each other, as opposed to just flat out globally saying, you're wrong, I'm right. And that doesn't really move the needle very far. So maybe not a bad idea to turn the other channel on, or tune into a different station and just listen and have an open mind and understand why the other side is so passionate about what they're actually thinking and feeling and saying, something really important. Now, 2,500 years ago, in the major Ayurvedic textbook called Charaka Samhita, they wrote about epidemics, and we're going to slip into the pandemic mode here for a second. And I wrote an article about this. Go to LifeSpa.com, type in epidemics, and you'll get that article. And it quotes directly from the Vedic text what they actually said. And the bottom line was that the cause of pandemics and epidemics was due to, and they wrote this thousands of years ago, corruption at the highest level of heads of state. That corruption at the highest level of government would actually have a trickle-down effect and corrupt people below them and throughout the culture. And soon the corruption would have an impact on this is written, the quality of the air we breathe. I can't even tell you, I look at science for a living. I look at the news feed of all the journalists that come in every single day. There's always, every day, 1 or 2 or 3 studies published on air pollution. That never happened before. It's just been going on and going on. There's a real issue with the air that we breathe. The Vedic text talked about how the air that we breathe, the water that we drink, would become so polluted that even the birds and the animals wouldn't drink it. The crops would fail, the herbs would not grow, and the seasons would change, the environment would change. Now, I'm not saying that what we're seeing as climate change, or whatever you want to call it, is due to corruption. But I think that there is a lot of corruption in it. And I think that there's a lot of people who have been polluting this planet in ways that has caused issues with the air that we breathe, no doubt, and the water that we drink. And some of it is just the nature of the human drive to create and be industrial. And I think that's fine. But I do think that but there's a piece of that puzzle that holds true with the level of corruption, that the rule breakers and the need for money and power and fame to create a situation where people take shortcuts, they don't follow the rules, and they do everything they can for the bottom line, and that creates the corruption. And that was talked about 2,500 years ago, so it's not a new concept, corruption, and how corruption can affect the quality and the purity of the environment and the air and we breathe and the water that we drink. So it's sort of really interesting. I think that we really have to really look in our hearts, I believe, and really ask ourselves, are we really taking the high road? And really looking at how we live our life and how we practice in our business and everything. Are we taking the road of the least of no corruption, of being pure and honest and having the most highest level of integrity possible? And how do we deal with the people and our family and our relationships and our business associates? And are we dealing with them at the highest level of integrity possible? Maybe that's asking too much in this culture, but I think it's some time that we all start to really listen to that and take heart. On my cell phone, I don't answer my phone anymore because everybody that calls me wants to sell me some crazy thing, or my Social Security has been hacked, or whatever. It's just amazing how much corruption is on the planet. I have to get a new credit card every 3 months because my credit card's been hacked. I mean, this is crazy what's happening. And I do think that we really need to, in our own way, in our little own way, we move the needle by, creating, really scrubbing our own personal level of integrity to the very highest level we possibly can. And hopefully, the 100th monkey effect will take effect, and we'll start changing changing the program to be with the highest level of integrity, with a lack of corruption, and that may help a little bit to help keep this planet clean and pure. Everybody wants clean air. Everybody does. And then just be really careful of the information you get and where you're getting it, and realize that you may be so into it, but the more you're into it, the more vulnerable we all are to it being fake and being duped by people who are taking advantage of us through the window of corruption. That's basically my point. Sorry to go on and on about it, but check out this article. I think it's a really cool study at LifeSpa.com. It's all about fake news. Thanks for listening. I'm Dr. John Douillard.